jump into it. The original expression of our elegant floral spirit and the real backbone of the Glenmorangie range. A 10-year-old single malt, Glenmorangie Original is produced by marrying the delicate spirit that emerges from Scotland's tallest stills with first and second fill American white oak casks. It is here, maturing for 10 long years in a range of ex-bourbon casks, such as our famous slow-grown and air-dried designer casks from Missouri, that our raw spirit develops a perfect balance between sweetness and complexity, resulting in a mature spirit that is soft, mellow, and creamy, perfect for enjoying at any time. So now while you guys are nosing this and giving it a smell, here's what the Glenmorangie website would say that you should notice on the aroma. The scent of citrus and ripening peaches is softened by aroma of vanilla. Now, when I always kind of notice the apricot, which is why I put that out there. And there is some vanilla, if you want to compare and see. But, Dan, what are your thoughts? You're nosing. What do you think?
I'm trying to distinguish what I'm smelling. But
Well, how about you, Doug?
I'm definitely getting the peaches.
And it's definitely a citrusy. You know, it's always one that you drink. First thing that hits you is kind of citrus fruits.
The vanilla does jump out. I mean, when you put the nose on it the second time, the vanilla does jump out on you.
And now I do notice the vanilla as well. All right, so the taste. First, vanilla is detected on the tongue before it ripples along the palate, bringing a burst of flowery fruitness. So they're going to say on the tongue that we should notice that vanilla right away and then open up into the fruity.
that I can agree with. That is wonderful.
It is. And
Look at the legs.
There's a lot of legs.
the complexity of it as it goes down, that's where it really, when you look at it, it's so clear, slightly tint. You smell the citrusy, but after you take it into your mouth, immediately when it goes down your throat, that's when you realize it does have a nice, bold, whiskey flavor to it.
Yeah, it has a nice finish. So it's not even though it's a delicate spirit, it's fruity. It's not, it has a finish. Mm-hmm. It's not weak or anything like that, but it's just a very approachable and friendly spirit.
It does start out very, very soft, and I would say that vanilla. I'm tasting that at first, but then it ends.
I'm really tasting the vanilla now.
It gets really strong.
The more I sip it, the more that vanilla hits me. The wheels are spinning in Doug's head.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Doug? I see a lot of thought going on here. Remember, get in close to that mic.
There's a flavor I can't quite pick up, but it's almost... It's a very subtle, almost very light smokiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't quite put my finger on.
Sometimes that's a thing, like, as a little bit that I learned, pretty much every Scotch will have even the smallest trace of smoke to some degree. And some of it, some of it I think is actually the complexity, like that. If you really swish it around your tongue, I almost feel like you can taste the copper sometimes of the kettle if you really just keep swishing around your mouth. Or sometimes that smokiness that you may notice, that light, delicate smoke, could just be also still the trace of the malt and the grain as well. So Doug's really getting into it.
Am I picking up pepper?
I'm actually getting a slight aftertaste of pepper. Like, now it's not in my mouth currently, but on the back of my tongue there's a little bit of and we probably shouldn't, but again, I still think that there's an element of that just the how that
The whiskey.
spirit,
it's a whiskey
it's still
feel,
whiskey,
yeah.
and how it reacts with the copper kettle as it goes through. I mean, there's things that copper does to whiskey in the spirit, which is interesting, and it's always going to be there.
I would say for an introductory Scotch drinker, this would be terrific. Someone who has not yet drank a lot of Scotch, but gets to smell this, taste this. I think this would be a bottle that definitely most people want to get into Scotch should put in their bar.
Yeah, definitely not overpowered by any peat whatsoever. I do get what you're saying, Doug. A hint.
At first.
A suggestion of...
You know what I'm getting now on the finish is butterscotch.
Well, we have some butters. See, this would be the butterscotch. So
I'm definitely getting butterscotch.
that's why this is here. If you guys want to,
You might want to describe to the audience what's in front of us.
we have this basically a buffet in front of us, Here, why don't you want to pass them down to Robin? We have butterscotch, caramel apricot, dried banana,
man.
walnut, lemon nuts, dried apple, raisins, honey, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla.
Yeah.
So along the way, everything should pop up, should make an appearance. Now, before I move on to the, we're going to do the Lasanta next, but I do want to mention with each of these. So the awards that the original has won: 2016 International Wine and Spirit Competition, gold medal. 2016 San Francisco World Spirits Competition, gold medal.
Wow.
That butterscotch pops that butterscotch flavor
does.
out of the whiskey.
Yep, it does.
So what I'm going to do next is take a swig of water, kind of rinse out here before we move on. All right. So we're going to do the Lasanta next. So let me go ahead and read the description first. Lasanta. So again, keeping in mind that this is the original. They aged the original for 10 years. Once it is the original after 10 years, now it's going to go into a new... it'll go into a new cask for 2 more years. They're very particular about not using the term finished. It's not sherry finished or port ruby finished. They want us to recognize it as extra matured. Because finish usually implies that you put the bourbon and you just dump it in a cask for maybe about 6 months to just kind of add a little bit of a finishing to it. To them, this is the Glenmorangie, but it's aged for another 2 years. So it is picking up the characteristics of that new cask it's going into, but there's still 2 more years of aging going on as well. So they're very particular about making sure that we're referring to it as extra maturation and not finishing. But anyways, the Lasanta. Elegant but full-bodied. This whiskey has spent 10 years maturing in American white oak ex-bourbon casks before being extra matured for a further 2 years in Oloroso and PX sherry casks from Jerez in Spain. Lasanta is Gaelic for warmth and passion, a reminder not just of the Spanish provenance of these Oloroso sherry butts, but also a reflection of this expression's lusciously soft texture and deep, enticingly sweet aroma. So that's the official description of it. On the nose, the website, people at Glenmorangie would say on the aroma, warm spices mixed with smooth chocolate-covered raisins, honeycomb, and caramel toffee. So they're saying spices, chocolate-covered raisins, honey, and caramel and toffee. So,
I got the caramel right away.
Yeah.
No, you talking about on the you're
nose.
still nosing.
Yeah.
I got the caramel, I got the honey, I got the raisins. Like it's odd. Like I don't know what I'm smelling until you mention it.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely pick up on the raisins.
Mm-hmm.
The caramel's definitely there.
Caramel is that's a stronger sense too. You're gonna think that, like the vanilla was on the last one. You can easily jump that. Oh, we're drinking.
Oh
Dan?
my goodness, is that good?
Now, so let's go. Yeah, so the taste. While you guys take a taste, deliciously sweet sherry flavored sultanas, orange segments, walnuts, and butterscotch combine to create a complex warm spices. I'll read again. Deliciously sweet orange segments, walnuts, and butterscotch combine to create complex warm spices. So we noted, I think the walnuts is kind of a new thing being tossed in. Does anybody think on the taste that they can even pick up?
They're right about being a warm
Ooh.
spice. It has a warm feel to it.
Wow, it's a lot different, huh?
Yeah, that's.
Try a walnut with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brings it out.
Right in the middle of the tongue on the first. Mm-hmm. Now, quite different. Now, the other thing is, do you feel like there's still a thread of what the original is in this?
Maybe, but it is totally different.
I was surprised.
I don't think so.
When you jump into the taste on the nose, it's like, oh, on the nose, there's some differences. But I didn't realize until you get it in your mouth, it was like a whole new Scotch.
Caramel.
You're trying a caramel?
Immediately, you can tell by the look of it. the smell that is definitely different than the original. I don't know if there's a hint of the original in there because that original had that vanilla citrusy and it was so light. This one just has a depth to its look and its first taste on your tongue.
Here's the only way I think I can bring the original in. If I take a little swig, swish it around the mouth for a little while, let the flavors kind of fade out. Mm-hmm. The actual spirit, the alcohol, the way that's reacting on the tongue, to me, is still the same reaction that I felt with when I kind of did that with the original.
I'd say the creaminess of the texture as well.
Now,
no question, Doug. It is just as smooth as the first one. Mm-hmm. It tastes just as good.
I think that might be a little smoother than the first one.
I would agree. The way you can tell by its texture.
Now, what do you like? We've had two so far. Dan, which one do you like better so far? The original or the
Lasanta?
You like the Lasanta?
That's not even a choice. That Lasanta is wonderful.
I'm an original guy so far. I mean, this isn't bad, but the original just it had a bursting of flavor, not only on the tongue but with the nose, and that's one thing I really liked about it.
This definitely brings more. It's almost like this brings in all new stuff, but it kind of depends on which way. Do you like that more delicate fruit, or do you like the warmth that this one brings?
I have to agree with Rob that it doesn't have the burst that the first one did. Mm-hmm. It's more of a subtle grow on you as it goes, not that sudden burst like the first.
And it's probably that little extra, even at just that 2 years of extra maturation. I think these are all. And we're going to talk about something really interesting with proof here very soon. These are both 43%. Now, the next one is not, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, a little bit more on the Lasanta, just to kind of round out our education on the Lasanta. So first, the awards. 2017 World Whiskey Awards Best Highland Single Malt. 2017 International Whiskey Competition Best 12-Year Single Malt. So Glenmorangie is just racking up the awards. But let's learn a little bit more, because I'm sure if I really said, guys, do you really actually know anything about Oloroso or PX Sherry? Does anybody here really know anything about that? I didn't either. I mean, I know that it's a sherry. So I did try to get some information. So let me go through this, and maybe this will help explain a little bit more. So first, there's Oloroso and PX. Oloroso is a variety of fortified wine sherry made in Jerez and Montilla Morales and produced by oxidative aging. Oloroso is usually dark and nutty, so maybe that's where the walnut's coming in. Oloroso is known for being dark and nutty. In Oloroso, the floor yeast is suppressed by fortification at an earlier stage. This causes the finished wine to lack the fresh, yeasty taste of the Fino sherries. Without the layer of floor, the sherry is exposed to the air through the slightly porous walls of the American and Canadian oak casks and undergoes oxidative aging. As the wine ages, it becomes darker and stronger. So that's Oloroso wine. Now PX. PX sherry is the name of a white Spanish wine grape variety grown in several Spanish wine regions. Here it is used to produce a varietal wine, an intensely sweet, dark dessert sherry. It is made by drying the grapes under the hot sun, concentrating the sweetness, which are then used to create a thick black liquid with a strong taste of raisins and molasses that is fortified and aged in Solera. So some of the things the Oloroso might give hints of nuttiness and darkness, and the PX sherry, raisins and molasses, which would maybe be similar to that caramel. Now, as we move to the Quinta Ruban, I want everybody to pick up the bottle, because there's something that I had never known about until. But you'll notice, first thing, let's see, it should be on here. Well, the first thing, the bottom right, you'll see this is 46% alcohol, right? Oh, there it is. Yes. Okay. Right to the left of that where it says aged 12 years. If you look real close, it says aged 12 years, and underneath it says non-chill filtered. Does anybody know? I did not know about this. Funny, when I was at the store picking this up, the one store I go to, there's one of the guys that works at the store, he's obsessed with scotch. So as soon as somebody, like whenever I go in the store and I kind of walk towards the scotch aisle, he'll just start running from the opposite corner because he just loves to talk scotch. Now, the last time I was there, he specifically was like, you should get this. It's non-chill filtered. I'm like, which meant nothing.